Hi, I'm George Lockhart, Leadership Unlocked. And on this show, we introduce the leaders in Palm Beach County and what they're doing and how they can benefit you and your community. Today is a fascinating show because we're talking about what Abraham Maslow's model hierarchy of needs. He talks about the fulfilling the innate human needs, basically starting off with one, shelter. We'll worry about food and ultimately self-actualization later. So in shelter, we have a friend of mine who's going to talk about the housing authority and some other things. And I'm very proud to, not only he's a 6'5", but he's a giant in the community. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcoming Mr. Jeffrey Jackson.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction.
Sir, today we're going to talk about, again, housing. But before we get to that, let's talk about you yourself. Tell me, how did you get into, from a boy from Pahokee, Florida, on the way through military to get to where you are today? Tell me a little bit about Pahokee and your upcoming, growing up, that sort of thing.
So growing up out west, and I refer to it as the muck, being a young man growing up in Pahokee, my family was in business. They owned, my dad had a trucking business, and my mother had a clothing store. They also owned a nightclub and multiple properties. And we had a very good upbringing. And upon graduating high school, I went to the United States Marine Corps, and I served one tour there. And my job there, I was in the nuclear program and doing special weapons security. And upon leaving the Marine Corps, I joined the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
So now this is a little known fact, or maybe not little known fact, but you are the brother of Ricky Jackson.
That's correct.
So Ricky Jackson, who played in the NFL, University of Pittsburgh.
University of Pittsburgh. He was
right,
there with
the
Hugh
Saints.
Green and Dan Marino, and then he went to the Saints, yes.
Right. So, I mean, what was that like growing up in the same household? How many brothers and sisters did you all have in the same house?
Ricky and I did not grow up in the same house. My dad and his mom, unfortunately, well, they divorced. I say unfortunate, I wouldn't be here if they stayed together. But and he married my mom, and so my mother had 4 kids from my father, and the same for his mother and my father.
So what's your relationship with Ricky?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
We talk a couple of times a week. We just spoke last night about, I don't know, somewhere around 8:00. But
yeah, unfortunately, I was eulogized his son who played football for me at the high school.
Right.
Very, very Rashad, very nice young man, very smart, very intelligent. So the Jacksons, we talk about that. You yourself, I consider you to be very brilliant and with your photographic memory and things of that nature. But as an athlete yourself at 6'5", I mean, football didn't play into the picture more than basketball.
I played football, love football, but I had a burning passion too, and I had an opportunity to go and play at the next level. But my passion was I wanted to be in the military, and I grew up listening to old men talk about Vietnam and things like that. And I've always been fascinated. You've seen the John Wayne movies. Every young man like watching John Wayne and all of that. So I grew up wanting to experience what it would be like to fight in a war. So the only way I could ensure that I would do that is I joined the United States Marine Corps. I learned they were always the first to fight. And so at 17, I had my dad sign me up because I was too young to sign myself up. So I convinced him to let me go. And we did that and I had a great military experience.
Right. But going back to keeping it in the family, you have a son that's a premier athlete himself. Tell me a little about it.
Yeah, Jared. So my son, Jared Jackson, Jared left high school. He was highly recruited. He had more than 30 major college scholarship offers, and he chose the Louisville. And Lamar Jackson played a huge role in that. And unfortunately, Lamar, upon Jared signing to go to Louisville, Lamar won the Heisman Trophy, and I think he had a signing bonus of about $25 million. So it was bye-bye, Jared. You guys are not going to get to play together. So Jared went to Louisville and played, and he started as a true freshman there. He was there with Jordan Travis, and they fired the head coach and they had a close relationship with Coach Petrino. The next coach that came in, he did not believe in the young guys playing as much, and Jared was not going to go from starting to playing behind somebody he's beating up every day in practice. So they left and went to Florida State.
Okay, how's he doing?
Jared unfortunately had a shoulder injury that was very major, and it ended his football career. But he's now coaching football. He's coaching this year at Palm Beach Lakes. Last year he coached at Inlet Grove and some at Palm Beach Gardens. How he pulled that off, I don't know. But I had a nephew at coaching Inlet. Actually, Ricky's son, Richard, was coaching Inlet Grove.
Sure.
He was a head coach there, and he got a college offer. So he's now coaching at the college level. And Jared hopes to coach at the high school level a few years and then move on to the college level as well.
Well, I do understand that, playing at Tuskegee is a Division II school, but we thought it was, tops. New coach come in, you're not his recruit, so you move to the side and you have to try and adjust and do that sort of thing. So I clearly understand how that went on that piece. So you talked about the Marine Corps. So why the Marines?
Well, as I said to you before, the Marines are first to fight, and I knew it would be a challenge for me. I thought that it would be, and this is not a dig on any other branch of service, but the Marine Corps, I thought the challenge there would be something that I wanted to try and complete.
All right, so you come back home and you work with the police force here, and you reach the rank of
Captain. So I joined the sheriff's office. I left the Marine Corps, and 30 days after getting out of the Marine Corps, I was in the academy to be a deputy sheriff, and I had had an opportunity there to be the class leader, and we got to change a lot of things. They gave me a lot of say-so in the things that we were doing. So for instance, at that time, Palm Beach County did not have a really structured academy, and I had an opportunity to look at police academies in New Jersey, New York, and D.C., and they had academies where it was ran like military, ran like the Marine Corps. And so I remember speaking to the director of the college at the time of that section, the Criminal Justice Department. Rick Zazzy is his name, very popular guy, brilliant man. He gave me the latitude to make those changes, and he helped facilitate it. And he told me, I remember it like it was yesterday. He says to me, when I shared my idea, he goes, "You're going to go down to the sheriff's office and tell the sheriff that he's leaving something to be desired." And I said, "Exactly." He's like, "Here's my car." So, and I went down, and the sheriff was open to it, and he and the undersheriff, and they liked the idea, and it's been great ever since.
So my dad was the first Black deputized sheriff officer in Palm Beach County. So I asked him, what does deputized mean? He says, well, Bernie was the first Black sheriff officer, but he was a jailer. Right. He did not have arresting powers. Right. That's the term he used. So I thought it was very interesting. And so, it's a little tidbit of how we deal with it. Goodman hired my dad, but he worked primarily over his career for Heitman. Yeah. And he would come home, the car, Heitman had his name on the car. Wow. And so I thought that was very interesting with the sheriff. So the sheriff is now taking over a lot of little towns.
That is correct.
And so I live in Lake Park, and they took over. Why? Why is that going on?
And I remember helping the sheriff in one of those efforts, particularly Pahokee and Belglade. And what happens is that as taxes go up, cities are not taking in enough money. And if you look at the town of Pahokee is serving a lot of people. You have the people that live in those surrounding housing developments like Friend Village and some of the other surrounding locations there in the city, but the city those places are outside the city limits. And so as people get in that financial crunch and the city is not taking in enough tax dollars, the tax base is small, it becomes more challenging to keep all your services that you have to provide. And the law says the sheriff has to provide those services if a city should fail at it. So the sheriff has, always been able to discuss with city leaders what they can get in the sheriff's office. Certainly they can get things like they're going to have more officers. If they have a police department with, 12 officers, well, he's going to have 20 people there at least. And so that means the span of control is going to be stronger. That also means that he'll have more officers arriving on a scene to deal with a potential problem. And he'll cut down the time that it takes to respond. So if a police officer's in, like let's say if you're in Pahokee and you're up in Canal Point, you got a situation downtown in Pahokee, in the center of town, it's going to take you about 7 minutes to get there.
Right.
You got more officers, they're there in 1 minute.
I got you. I see. Well, that's very important to understand because a lot of people did not understand why sheriffs are moving into our town or village.
Yes.
So I understand that. And it's the same people.
Yes.
In Lake Park, we're so small that, hey, Jim, didn't you just have a Lake Park uniform on? Now you're a sheriff?
Yes.
And so I don't know what benefits they gain from that, but we keep the same people
I can
within
tell
that
you
town.
about them. I also got to serve as a union rep for the Police Benevolent Association.
Oh boy!
So, and I was a union rep and the officers select who they want to represent them, and I did that for 28 years.
Wow!
But once I made captain, I could not do it anymore. You're too high up the food chain.
Sure.
But and that's another thing that I saw before coming to Palm Beach County. When I got here, we didn't have collective bargaining, and it took me about 8 years to get the sheriff's office to move to collective bargaining. But once we did that and we got that first union contract, I had people telling me, man, you're going to get yourself shot trying to do that down here. Yeah. So Florida's a right to work state, but me and a couple other guys, we continued to push for, and Sheriff Bulick gave us that first union contract. And we carved out a very nice contract. And today you see officers, we increased the starting salaries. We have strengthened every bit of the benefits package and the things and Sheriff Bradshaw has been a real hero of the officers. And really making sure that they're taken care of financially, but they're also taken care of with their benefits, and their families are taken care of. So he's shown a lot of leadership and what he has given the officers. So how have the sheriff office been able to interface with the Black community? Because with the dealing with the erroneous arrest. The tasing, you see it all over social media all the time. Yes. So
Palm Beach County has not flared up outside of the shooting of Corey Jones. I don't know if that was sheriff or not.
No, it was not.
Yeah, but still, Blacks see that as law enforcement.
That is correct.
And I asked my dad, and he says, "What does the badge say?" I says, "It says to serve," and he said, "and protect." So you have those firecrackers out there, but speak more about that.
So I'll tell you, I got to experience that firsthand. My dad had to go to a domestic, which is one of the worst kind of situations you can go to, because the guy that's hitting on his wife, you can get there and she can be bruised and bloodied. But the moment you got to take that guy down and start wrestling with him or pound on him because he's kicking and fighting you, it's amazing how some people will get up who, after being abused, they will get up and then jump on your back or grab something to hit you with. So officers are really kind of at a deficit when you respond to domestic cases. But my father, unfortunately, had to, this guy tried to cut him with a machete knife and cane knife. And he ended up having to shoot the guy.
Wow.
And so he basically told me the next day that, that shooting happened late night. And he told me, when I got up getting ready for school, he says, "Hey, this is a small town. Unfortunately, I had to shoot a guy last night while working. And you may hear something. People may try and pick on you. might try and mock you or talk about me and things like that. He says, just keep it moving. And if if anyone try and fight you, tell your brothers, get home safe. And that was the talk.
Sure. So the sheriff itself, you do have that 1 out of 100 that may just looking for trouble like that, but that does not represent
I'll tell you this. The officers are well trained. No one can say that they have not received the type of training, sensitivity training, and things of that nature. In some cultures, it's they show respect by touching you gently on the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a time when I started back in the mid '80s where officers thought that was. Some officers took that as you're hitting on me or you're assaulting me. And when that nationality of people, they just communicate that way and they're touching you gently. They're not pounding on you.
Right.
But we've all received sensitivity training and things of that nature to be able to better deal with people. But the sheriff's office is not exempt from any problems. We have had, I remember reading an article, and this is many years ago, and this is before Sheriff Bradshaw, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office has shot more unarmed people than anywhere else in America in the same time frame. And that was a 25-year time frame that they took a look at. And they had, it was about 2 pages of content in the paper, and they named everyone that had gotten shot. And I found that quite intriguing. But, this sheriff, nowadays we have things like cameras that have helped usher in.
Body cams?
Yes.
Yep.
Officers are trained now to take a tactical pause, slow it down, make better decisions. And but there are times when you can be faced with a situation and you got to understand that officers dealing with everything in real time.
Yeah.
If you report to a hospital and there's a guy outside banging on the door of the hospital, I saw this actually happen someplace. A man with no clothes on, he's banging on the door of a hospital trying to get in. The outer door is locked. 3 officers show up and they end up shooting the guy. And they said they were feared for their safety. 3 officers shoot a guy and they fear for their safety, and he's naked. He wasn't going to pull a gun.
Right.
So they could have taken him down and handcuffed him, but instead they shot him. One tased him and the other 2 shot him. Yeah. And so we've been able to avoid that sort of thing here. And we've had our challenges on some of the cases that got out. But for the most part, the officers are doing much better. If you look at when I started to throughout my 35-year career and to when I finished my career, I saw a huge change. And Sheriff Bradshaw, to his credit, was part of that change at the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
Very good. Thank you for that. Now, that leads towards why we're here today. You have talked about your rich experience in several different arenas. Now, you get to place all of that ocean into a bottle cap, and we call it the Housing Authority. So Riviera Beach Housing Authority, how does that differ from any other housing authority from Miami, from Atlanta, Tampa, some of the respites when you say housing? Because when I think of housing, used to be, you say, well, housing, you're talking about food stamps, you talk about dilapidated homes, things of that nature. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So housing has changed. When you and I was kids, we saw people living in what we refer to as projects.
Projects, yes.
We're not doing that anymore. We're beyond projects. The whole system has changed. And one of the things about our award-winning Riviera Beach Housing Authority, in the last 4 years, we've won Best Housing Authority Award twice. And I don't think anyone else.
Is that statewide?
Yes.
Or regional?
Statewide.
Okay.
Yes. And so, and I don't know of another housing authority that can say that. And we're very proud of it, and we're totally unapologetic about it. And we're hoping that we could get that destination again this year, if not this year, next year, with the projects that we have coming up and the way that we are approaching housing. I'm certain it'll happen again soon. But we're different because we started not only do we have, multiple properties that we're overseeing and own, we started our own company, Harborside Development, and it's an affiliation with our housing authority. And so we can build, and so we can partner with developers and actually build ourselves. And that is very unique. And more housing authorities need to do that, be their own developer, and because they could use that money to help, some of the money to help sustain themselves and grow, and they could help solve the housing crisis more. Today we're at war today. The war is not bombs and bullets and bayonets on the end of a rifle. The war is lack of jobs. It's lack of housing, lack of adequate health care and things of that nature, and food resources and so forth. So as it comes to housing, the race is to put people in housing, to house them, but give them great opportunities, not some dilapidated place to live. A kid should not know that they're poor. Hence, what we do public-private partnerships and build beautiful buildings, and those at receiving housing benefits will pay something less than what the other people in that same development will pay. And it's a juggling of numbers and how you build the performer to say who's going to pay what and set those rent prices. Medium rents in Palm Beach County is a lot different from medium rents in, let's say, Brevard County or Henry County. So it's more here. Medium rents here in Palm Beach County is a lot more than what the rents would be in Mississippi or Alabama.
So we've almost doubled population since 1900.
Yes.
In the United States. With all of those different issues that's going on, those modalities, how does a person survive? Let's say, and we'll make it, say, Riviera Beach.
And that's a great question. What our leadership is doing in Riviera Beach, and I had a conversation recently with Mayor Lawson. They're on board with what we're doing at the Housing Authority. The mayor want to see more public housing. He want to see people pay less for rents. And the city just conveyed a few properties to the Housing Authority, and we're going to build some beautiful developments on those. Some of them will be houses for sale. Others will be places that we will rent. And people will get what rents are. A 2-bedroom will can go for beyond $2,000. Well, it's our goal, and we'll certainly deliver on it, that people won't be paying anything near that, and we'll make it all work. As I said before, it was a numbers game, and it depends on which program they had, where they might be receiving some type of assistance from the government of some sort. It could be the county injecting money into the program, and the commissioners have been very, very supportive of us. I want to thank all the Palm Beach County commissioners and our city commissioners. We have a great group of city commissioners, and as I spoke about, Mayor Lawson, he has a great plan for the city, and we have a good city manager. Everybody's doing their job. The department heads are doing their job, and it's just one big family of trying to move all of this stuff forward at one time. So you and I are friends. We've known each other for a long time. And the political aspect of what you're covering right now is gargantuan. It is. So,
but to a person on the street, I barely have a high school education. Rent is $1,500 or higher. And you mentioned before about affordable housing with the NAPCO.
NATCA. Yes.
Now, what stood out to me is when you said every person should have a house that can afford. Tell me about the NATCA program.
So the way NATCA work, and I'll speak to that because I have gotten that benefit, but they have a lot more programs available now than they did when I received the benefit from them. I recall having a bad mortgage. The bank bought out at the time the banks could, if one bank bought another one, they could change your interest rate. Well, I heard, you hear it on the news, and then it happened to my bank. And my payment went from like $2,200 to $3,200.
Wow.
and I got a notice that it was gonna go to $34.90 in about 6 months. And President Barack put NACA out on the street, and they were hitting all of these big places, having these big events, and they went to work with these different proposals and projects whereby they would lure people. You would get your interest rate lower, get your payment lower, and you had people that was on the verge of losing their home and had their home saved. My interest rate went from like a 5.5% to like 9%. And I was able to get my interest rate lowered to 2%.
Okay, wait, stop. See,
yes.
See, that's what the people need to hear, because you're talking about 80% jump.
Yes.
And then you turned around and had it reversed almost 200%.
Yes.
So, and people don't understand percent. Well, 2%, 5%, they don't realize how big a range that is over a 15, 30-year period of what they can pay and what they're saving. So how were you able to get that done? NATCA, because that's everything that we're talking about today to a layperson. They hear, wait a minute, I can get, what is the NACA? Did you hear what he just said? Let's do it. Right. We got to get into that sort of thing. So go ahead.
So NACA allowed me, as I said, to go from my interest rate fell dramatically. It went down to 2%. And my payment went down to $1,964.
Wow.
And oh man, I can't tell you how thankful we was to, and it's like, working at the sheriff's office, you can pay one every other week. So so I was able to do well. And but NACA now has multiple programs. So they have programs now where no money down for a house. In fact, the way that they deal with the closing costs, you get to the average person is putting down somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000 to get a place, and not having a credit check. So they check your credit by looking at those accounts that you currently have open. What their biggest concern is, let's say if you, as an example, if you had a mortgage that was going to be a $300,000 mortgage, and that payment was going to be $1,500. Well, they want to see you save $1,500 for 3 months, because that would tell them that you could pay the payment. So you need to show a savings from somewhere between 3 and 6 months. Show them that you're saving that money and continuing to pay all of your other bills, the utilities, credit card, things of that nature. And so they're not looking at the strength of the credit as much as they are the fact that you can make the payment that you are seeking.
Well, isn't that turning the credit world upside down, because Experian and everyone else is based on your credit, and you're saying now that they don't do credit checks like that, but based on the power of how you can save, which makes all the sense in the world. So how can someone get in contact or get associated with NATCA?
Well, I can tell you now, you can Google that. I don't have their phone number with me. I'd love to provide it to you at a later date, but there's an event coming up at Greater Bethel Church. And I think that event is, I'm sure that event is August 2nd. And I think they have 40 slots left now. They're planning on about 80 people coming. I'm certain if they ended up getting, they have 40 people signed up now. But I believe if they get 100 people to come, they're going to make it happen for them. And but I'm going to be bringing them back. Me and the mayor has been talking about this. We're going to have them come back. In fact, I've had meetings with them, and I'm trying to get them to have set up an office in Palm Beach County, right here in Riviera Beach. And I think we're getting close to that. The AFAs have the Housing Authority is building the AFA Center there, at the what we refer to as the Judge Rogers Complex now. So we're going to be developing over 150 housing units there, and we're going to have the AFA Center there. And currently they have about 5 or 6 in the organizations working there, not-for-profit organizations working there, and I think that'd be a good footprint to put NACA there, and so I spoke with Al Fields about that recently, and he likes the ideal. So we got some more massaging this whole thing to do to see how it will work. If not, the housing authority, we might take that challenge on to find some place for them to be, because the opportunity is just so great. We're going to be able to help a lot of young people get homes that would be staying with their parents, and a lot of seniors that, just want to get that home before they die.
Yeah. Well, see, again, you're a very pivotal person in Palm Beach County. And what we do here on Leadership Unlocked is to identify people like you who do not know that you exist in this political world with the housing authority. Yes. They see you and they say, Sheriff, or Marine, or Pahokee Blue Devil. But they don't understand the concept. And that's why this show is so potent and important. Last question.
Well, I do want to say this. Yes. I will tell you, our housing authority has, unlike you asked earlier about how are we redefining ourselves aside from other housing authorities, we have, under that development, we have developments going on in Pahokee. We've secured land there. We're going to be moving forward with a development there, over 100 units, several, out in the acreage and out in the Royal Palm area. As far as Fort Lauderdale, we're going to probably close on that deal this week. In Riviera Beach, we got the Riviera Beach Signature Project. That's going to be probably $150 to $155 million project. The Judge Rogers Project, also in Riviera Beach. Let me back up. That project will be 19 stories on the corner of Broadway and Blue Heron. Across the street from it will be another 9 stories, a senior building. That's going to be a great project for the seniors. It's going to allow them to pay, to live in a beautiful place and not pay rents. That's going to make them make a choice between medication, food, or rent.
So you're saying the alphas are really important in running that program over there, and they're doing a lot of good things, with bringing food and taking care of all of the different community there.
I see you putting on your alpha hat. Yes, the alphas are they are a great community partner, and they're doing their thing, and they're doing what they can do to help in this effort and helping people survive and thrive.
So that's very important, helping people to survive and thrive. They have that right to do that sort of thing. Last question. You're tied with the CRA and the penny surcharge. How do you balance that with community?
Well, the penny surcharge committee was set up for time being, and basically the monies were set aside for a special tax. The city decided to pull down money and to have a tax to benefit things in the city. That the money would be used for. It could be used for parks or whatever the committee or the commission wanted to use the money for. And so I watched that committee. I think when I was seated as chair, they were at around 11 million. And when I handed it back off inside a year, 2 years later, because the commissioners are managing that now, and we handed back $22 million. So the investment where the money was placed did very well. It doubled, and I suspect now it's probably around 27 million. But the city is going to use that money for things. They can use it for things like fire station, parks, or whatever. The CRA, because of I was on the CRA CDC, that's Community Development Council. I was on the executive committee there, but because the Housing Authority and the CRA was competing for some of the same opportunities, the mayor thought it would be a good idea that I focus my attention on the Housing Authority, because I would be walking in both rooms, and they felt that'd be a kind of unfair advantage. Yeah. Although I never took the advantage. I wouldn't walk into one room and tell what happened in the other. I always kept it separate, but everybody's moving forward, trying to do what they can do to create affordable housing and beautify the city and create a better life and lifestyle for the citizens of Riviera Beach.
Action Jackson, Jeffrey Jackson. His job is to make good men better by letting his light shine, and he's been able to do a lot of give you a lot of information that hopefully that you can benefit from. My friend, it's so good to have you again on, and I was very excited for you get this information that we talked about, and I wanted to share it with Palm Beach County leadership for sure. Unlocked.
Great. I'd love to come back one day, and when we got some more of these projects well on the way, and we're going to be doing that soon. Thank you. Thanks for having me.